And even if you come down to Annapolis with us and you wear your Veterans Organization cover, it's good to let legislators know that there's a lot of us, we care, and we vote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really important. And as you mentioned about World War II, the rich and the famous were trying to get into uniform. Both the, as I understand it, the sons of both the Roosevelt presidents, you know, were on active duty.
Yeah, well, then Theodore Roosevelt Jr. was at Omaha Beach.
So
and then FDR's son Jimmy was a major in the Marine Corps in the Pacific. In fact, even Winston Churchill's son Randolph parachuted into Yugoslavia and was still occupied by the Germans, and worked with the underground. But the most successful veterans organization in American history, in terms of getting benefits and protecting veterans, were the Civil War veterans, the Grand Army of the Republic. They were 2 million strong at their height, and Congress was doing backflips to keep them happy. And I was recently doing some genealogy, and my great-grandmother's brother fought in the 9th Massachusetts in the Civil War. And they had a list at the Massachusetts Archives of anyone who ever was a member of the Grand Army of the Republic. The saddest thing was to see these volumes then say the charter was handed in November 2nd, 1924, and then so that after World War I, we suffered because we didn't have veterans organizations. So the American Legion was founded after the war, and that's why in World War II veterans were so much better treated. Like the American Legion, for example, they got Congress. They had millions of members. They got Congress to pass the most successful legislation in the history of the United States in terms of doing its job. The Veterans Readjustment Act of 1944, the GI Bill, which trained, by the way, 600,000 engineers.
Yeah, there was a lot of good legislation, but it goes back to your comment about how you have to explain a lot of things to some of these legislators. Recently in the Washington Post, one of the senators had mentioned about cutting veterans' benefits and increasing the amount of contribution that retired veterans would have to pay for their health care. And he referred to retired veterans as federal employees. And we know that members of the military are not federal employees.
They don't, well, they are. They actually probably are, but they certainly don't want to be called that.
No. Yeah, we get paid by the federal government, but we're not considered, I mean, some of our rights are taken away from us under the UCMJ and so forth. So
basically the Bill of Rights is taken away from you.
Yeah.
all 10 amendments.
Otherwise, so we're clearly different than...
I can recall when, for example, I didn't think my First Amendment rights would allow me to say what I thought of the company gunnery sergeant. Somehow we had a jail for that called the Brig.
That's true. You couldn't speak your mind.
And if you were 1 minute late for work, you might not do anything for 8 hours, but if you're 1 minute, you became a brigadoon.
Well, just recently, some information came out, and this came out from the Veterans of Foreign Wars. It's the 10 for 10 plan is a breach of faith with the America's military and its veterans' families. And briefly, it says the 10 ways Congress is targeting military and veterans benefits during today's difficult fiscal times are to 1, increase health care premiums for military retirees on TRICARE. 2, increase pharmaceutical fees for troops, families, and retirees. 3, eliminate presumptive service-connected conditions for disabled and ill veterans. 4, lock out or increase fees for Department of Veterans Affairs priority groups 7 and 8. 5, reduce cost of living allowances. 6, freeze military pay. 7, end government subsidies to military commissaries. 9, eliminate Department of Defense elementary schools stateside. And 10, eliminate the 20-year military retirement pay. So a lot of these things, Jerry, simply are a result of many of the legislators simply not understanding what it means to spend 20 years in the military.
Even the people who didn't spend 20 years One of the things that's under attack, you just mentioned, is the Category 8 medical care. That's for veterans who are down in their luck a bit. You know, it's means tested, so many of us aren't eligible for that. But that's very, very important. And that's the least we can do for guys who served and whose life hasn't been a bed of roses. And that's yeah. Well, in Congress, as the country becomes more conservative and we look for ways to cut budgets, you can't balance the budget on cutting the lights off in the White House or closing the national parks. You got to go after the big items. And the big items are the defense budget and veteran, included, of course, in which we're concerned with, is the VA budget. And so this is a time, in the last couple of years, we've done awfully well on Capitol Hill with legislation. You know, the bad stuff we've beaten back, and lots of good stuff, like the Webb GI Bill is the best thing that's happened since the World War II bill, much better than, for example, Korea and Vietnam. But now it's a time for patriots to be on guard. Because you know, if the broom is going to sweep, it's got to go, you know, where the money is, and it's veterans' benefits. So everybody should watch Congress, and whether you're a Democrat or Republican, doesn't make any difference. You ought to make sure the people you vote for are solid on veterans' issues.
Well, that's right, and
that's bipartisan. I mean, that's not. There are good Democrats, good Republicans on veterans. You know.
And that's correct. And the 2-year Veteran Affairs Department of Veterans Affairs budget is also a good idea.
Yes, that's
this
a great idea.
This is something they don't have to vote on, you know,
right.
every.
You don't have to fight it out every year. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it's like, you know, you go to Annapolis, and for some reason, maybe it's the water in Harford County, but their delegation, House and Senate, is about equally divided between Democrats and Republicans, and both sides are superb on our veteran stuff. Why that is, I don't know, but I'm very grateful. And we've got lots of heroes and some villains in both parties in regards to veterans.
And we'll be talking a little bit in future shows about what's coming up in the next legislative year as far as Annapolis is concerned.
And even, for example, I might mention too, who isn't a veteran but comes from a family of veterans, our own delegate here, Geraldine Valentino Smith, she was awarded the Freshman Legislator of the Year by the DAV. For some reason, she seized on to veterans issues, and when she ran, she made herself very well known among the veterans organizations in town, and she's been right out front on all of our issues. And it's I won't say surprise, that's not, but it's something I'm delighted with. And of course, but you know, that's a little different. Our senator is a decorated veteran of Operation Desert Storm. He commanded 2 of the 4 veterans posts in Bowie. Well, Doug came in knowing the problems, but Geraldine has learned them, and so we're really, really happy to. And our other delegates, Marvin Holmes is a veteran, and Jim Hubbard is a son of a Marine, but not a veteran. They've been solid too, but we've given special, you know, consideration to Doug and Geraldine for their efforts, which have been remarkable.
And yes, we've been very fortunate locally, but voices, strong voices, help push legislation in your favor. And part of that is also numbers from these organizations who send their department commanders or their national commanders down there to the House and the Senate and to the White House. And when they have millions of members, it certainly speaks volumes when they're down there.
Very, very loud voice. I'm on the National Legislative Committee for the Marine Corps League, and we lobby a couple of times a year. And at the local level, I'm the legislative chair for the Joint Veterans Committee in the Marine Corps League. And although I don't think I have the title with the DAV, I'm always down there representing them too. So.
You know, it's kind of interesting because we always, it has come up on more than one occasion about the 20-year military retirement. It's very much like, you know, the 20-year police retirement and the 20-year fireman retirement. There's a reason for that. You can't have a bunch of old folks, you know, running around doing these very physically demanding jobs.
And mentally and psychologically. It's one of the problems that the French had in World War II. Their generals were in the 70s. You know, and I'm in my 70s, but you know, we just don't belong doing that. It's you know, and not only were they old, but they had old ideas. You know, and you know, and yeah, that's always the problem. That you say, well, you know, the problem is you spend a lot of money training people and then let them out when they're perhaps still productive. But if you don't, you get this sort of glut that nobody ever leaves.
Well, that's true. And then the military, unlike some other larger organizations, you know, has the up or out part of it too, which basically means if you're not continuously productive and moving up in the ranks, you're also dismissed out of the service. And that's something a little different.
The Marine Corps as a captain is about 10 years. And then if you make major, you're probably going to get a pension. You're going to make your 20.
Right.
But then they kind of stops at lieutenant colonel.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's
yeah, the elimination is pretty
brutal.
quick. Usually around the time of captain. You know, trying to make
well, that
major.
was what my brother was one of those. Tom was my brother Tom was a West Point graduate, but they just didn't need infantry captains after the Korean War and before Vietnam. There was just no need. You couldn't justify it under any basis.
And we always go through those cycles too,
Yeah,
in between wars of you know, the peaks and valleys.
Well, Eisenhower was a lieutenant colonel in 1919. He was a major in 1939. Well, I mean, George Armstrong Custer, I think, was a lieutenant colonel at the Little Bighorn Valley. He had been a lieutenant general in the war, the Civil War.
Yeah, you can go up as well.
In fact, I think the Army Air Corps in World War II had one general, brigadier general, who was 21.
That's amazing.
Yeah, well, in World War, if you were flying over Germany, if you survived, you just got this rank. I mean, if you didn't get shot down. You know?
Yeah, it certainly is amazing. But the important point that we're getting across to you today is the fact that, number one, is if you know people that had been in the service and seem to be suffering, whatever the condition is, whether it's psychological or physical, make sure they get checked up at the VA hospital. And every person who had served in the military should already be part of the VA system.
Sure. Well, it's comparable to the situation in pro football. We're beginning to discover that this inordinate number of Alzheimer's and diseases and things of that are due years after you played in the NFL to the head knocking. And surprisingly enough, the people who suffer most are not running backs or wide receivers. They're the guys up front who are knocking heads on every play, and their life expectancy is short. And the military is the same way. These things sometimes don't appear for very, very decades after service.
That's true. Well, Jerry, it's been 30 minutes already. It's hard to believe. We hope you enjoyed this program. You saw some phone numbers for you to call if you or one of your loved ones is suffering from PTSD. And we ask you to join other veterans organizations here in Bowie, the American Legion, the DAV. Stop in, see your comrades, and get involved. And we especially want to thank Jim Travlin for being our producer today on our show. And thanks again for watching Veterans Forum.
I think that came off.